esteemed officers of the Rajya Sabha Secretariat and honorable members and my esteemed colleague in the Rajya Sabha. Before this, you are having a very, very interesting and colorful discussion on members' salaries and other amenities. And I was having a glimpses of the discussion sitting there in the ante room. So I could well understand why the discussion was lingering, because I had to wait for almost half an hour there. And indeed, for new members, all information in this card should be available to them. And when I say new member, I think I am mistaken, because you may be new in the Rajya Sabha, or many of you may be elected to the Rajya Sabha for the first time, but I believe almost all of you are not new in public life, because after spending so many years and so many decades in public life, one gets the opportunity of being elected either to the Assembly or to the Lok Sabha or to the Rajya Sabha. And I think we are, the members of parliament or the members of legislative assemblies, are few fortunate people, citizens of this country, who have got this opportunity. And I think we are not the only capable persons who has the caliber and quality to come and deliberate in parliament or assemblies. There are thousands and lakhs of other people in India who are equally, or if I can say, more capable than us, might be, who have not been getting this opportunity to being elected to either legislative assemblies and the parliament. And most of you may be for the first time elected to parliament, but as I said, none of you are new to parliament. Many before coming to Rajya Sabha were members of the Lok Sabha. As before I came to the Rajya Sabha, as was informed, I was thrice elected to the Lok Sabha. And many of you, the esteemed member in Rajya Sabha, before coming to parliament, before coming to Rajya Sabha, might be members of your respective state legislatures, either the state assembly or the state council in your respective states. So you have obviously vast experience, not only in politics, but in other aspect of life, other sphere of life. And therefore, I don't think I should give here a sermon, long sermon to you about today's topic, which is a very important, interesting topic and a very broad topic, that is ethics in politics, and do's and don'ts for the members. So I think I can divide it in two parts. Ethics in politics, the question arises, is ethics essential only in politics? Should ethics be applicable to only those people who are in politics or who are politicians? No. Ethics is applicable, ethics is necessary in all walk of life. Ethics is necessary everywhere, because without ethics, nothing can happen smoothly and in a right path, in a right way. Ethics is applicable to politicians. Ethics is applicable to the administrators. Ethics is applicable to the bureaucrats. Ethics is applicable to people working in all walk of life. So ethics is not only meant for politicians, we the politicians. But why people say the politicians should be more ethical? Because we represent the society. We represent the masses. We have before us lakhs and crores of electorate who have reposed their faith on us. And this is a cause of confidence, faith. Unless you acquire the confidence, command the confidence of the people, you are not being elected. So because with our election, after being elected, we carry with us the faith, the viswas of the common man with us. Therefore it is said, the politicians should be more ethical. Ethics is more applicable to the politicians. And when we talk of ethics, I remember 2 days back, today is 14th, day before yesterday on 12th, the Honorable Prime Minister launched the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We know in it. And it is a very, very, very welcome state. And we have now started from that day our preparation to celebrate the 75th anniversary of independence. And coincidentally, when the Prime Minister launched the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav on 12th, 91 years before, on that very day, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, launched his Dandi Satyagraha, what we call the Lavan Satyagraha, salt agitation. And he started his march, his historical march, from his ashram in Ahmedabad, the Sabarmati ashram to Dandi. It was, if I am correct, a more than 350-kilometer path. And Gandhi started that Dandi agitation because he wanted to defy the ban of the Britishers on the trade and on the trade of salt by the common citizen of India. And you'll be astonished to know, as you all know, this Dandi Jatra refurbished the independent movement. It provided a new spirit to our independent movement. And not only in India, it had its impact internationally. And one day I could, this information I didn't had also. When I came to know, you know which is the Independence Day of Mauritius, which is a friendly country of ours, a tiny country, Mauritius. It is 12th of March. Why they decided to have celebrate their Independence Day on the 12th of March? They are also fighting against the British Raj, they are British rulers. And when it was decided by the Britishers that no, we'll accord freedom to Mauritius, the Mauritians decided that that day of freedom should be 12th of March. Why? Because they said on that day, Gandhi inspired the whole humanity about freedom by his Dandi Jatra. So what impact Gandhi's Dandi Jatra was internationally? And Gandhi was an epitome of ethics. I remember I have read somewhere, somebody asked Gandhi, why you are in politics? And the prompt reply of Gandhiji was, I am in politics because I believe in ethics. You see, that is the philosophy life of Gandhi. He said, I am in politics because I believe in ethics. My entire politics is ethical. And if you go through Gandhi's life story, many of you, all of you might have gone. Every action of Gandhiji, every utterances of Gandhiji, every statement of Gandhiji was ethical. He preferred ethics more than logic. Sometimes there is a confusion. Which way we should go? Which is the logical way? Gandhi said ethics is more important than logic. So therefore, when we are in public life, when we are politicians, when we are people's representatives, ethics should command all aspects of our life. Gandhiji, as I said, because we are just 1.5 years before, we celebrated the 150th birth anniversary of Gandhiji. So Gandhiji, even today, and for future also, will continue to occupy our thought process, our mind, our brain, our lifestyle, our society, our economy, our way of living. We cannot escape from that. There cannot be any deviation. Such a powerful personality Gandhi was. I remember when we say Gandhi, what was his view about ethics, how he placed ethics in his personal life, in his political life, in his social life. I remember Gandhi, as because I hail from Odisha, I have gone the history of Gandhi's visit to Odisha. And now in Odisha, we are celebrating 100 years before Gandhi first visited to Odisha in 1921. And it is 2021. So now in Odisha, the government of Odisha led by Naveen Patnaik, they have started celebrating 100 years of the first visit of Gandhiji to Odisha. So Gandhiji frequently was going to Odisha, and Gandhi said that he could realize the poverty of India after visiting Odisha. So once Gandhi had a program at Puri. Puri is the place of Lord Jagannath, as you know, famous for the Lord Jagannath temple. And after the program, Gandhi programmed to visit, have a darsana of Lord Jagannath. And Gandhi went to the temple. He reached at the Mukhya Dwara, which is called the main gate, the Mukhya Dwara. And along with Gandhi, there were some followers of Gandhi, some Congress workers, and amongst whom there were some Harijan people. So when Gandhi reached the gate of Lord Jagannath's temple, Gandhi was stopped by the priest. They said, Gandhiji, You can alone enter into the temple, not the people behind you. Gandhi got astonished. He said, why? The reply was, because they are Harijan. You see. So Gandhi was put in a dilemma. Whether to enter, but Gandhi had a great desire to have a darsana of Lord Jagannath. Anybody goes to Puri, they used to visit and pay their respect and darsana to Lord Jagannath. Gandhi stopped for a while, thought for a while, and promptly took the decision, no, I will not go for the darsana of the Lord. Because you are not allowing a human being, he may be a Brahmin, he may be Harijan, whatever he may be, you are depriving them from the darsana of the Lord. So here, Gandhi's ethics prevailed upon him. This is called ethical life. Gandhi didn't go. And after a couple of years, I remember, I have read it in history, Gandhi was in Bhadrak. Bhadrak is quite far away from Puri. And Kasturba, Gandhi was accompanying Gandhiji. Ba was accompanying Bapu. And Ba took the permission of Bapu, said, Bapu, you are camping in Bhadraga, and I have never have a darsana of Lord Jagannatha in my life. And my life's desire is to have a darsana. I'm sorry. He didn't say that he is going to Puri to have a darsana of Lord. He just sought Gandhi's permission to go to Puri. And Gandhi said, okay, Ba, you go to Puri. Gandhi thought Kasturba is going to have a snana in the Samudra. Kasturba, being a woman, a devotee of Lord Jagannatha, he went to Lord Jagannatha temple and had a darsana. After one day, the message went to Gandhi. Gandhi didn't sleep for the whole night. His blood pressure rose. And in evening meeting, he was addressing public meeting every evening. He condemned this darsana of Kasturba to Lord Jagannatha temple. That was Gandhi. Because ethics all the time prevailed upon Gandhi's policy and principle. If we go to this, I am just telling it how ethics is so important in everybody's life. We know Lord Rama, and Sita was taken away by Ravana and kept bandi of Ravana, prisoner of Ravana. And Ravana conquered Sri Lanka, defeated Ravana, brought Sita. And Sita was asked to go for an Agni Pariksha by Rama. Why? Did Rama not know that Sita is very pure? Rama very well knew that Sita is pure. Sita cannot be impure. There cannot be question on Sita's virginity. But Rama asked Sita to go for Agni Pariksha because there was some doubt in the mind of Rama's subject, the Prajat, about the chastity of Sita after remaining in custody of Ravana. What does it mean? That means the ruler of those days, ethics was more prevalent when they were taking decision. Rama could have said, but no. Rama got the information from his CIDs that yes, there is whimpering, there is murmuring in the public about the chastity, about the satitva of Sita after remaining so many years under the custody of Ravana. So Rama said, no family life. My wife is dearer to me, but my prajas are more dearer to me, and my ethics is more dearer to me. So Rama asked Sita to go for Agni Pariksha. That was the day. So therefore, in all the time, in all the ages, ethics always has prevalent. Ethics always has ruled. Even the ruler, even the leader of the society, they always valued ethics. My dear friends, again I will quote Gandhi, because Gandhi is such a subject, it always influences our mind, our thought, our speech, our utterances. Gandhi was leading our struggle against the Britishers. And the Britishers, they were a tyrannical ruler. And they were ruthlessly suppressing our freedom movement. Gandhi was imprisoned many times. And not only Gandhi, many leaders, national leaders of those times, were leading the freedom movement, were incarcerated by the Britishers for months together, for years together. No mercy. The Britishers didn't hesitate to kill our people in Jallianwala Bagh in many part of the country. When Gandhi was in England in 1931, somebody asked him to what extent would India be prepared to share the sorrows of England? It was a question to Gandhiji. Gandhiji, to what extent you would be prepared to share the sorrows of England? And do you know what was the reply of Gandhiji? To the fullest extent. Gandhi never said that because you are ruling over us, you are a tyrannical ruler, you are oppressors. Gandhi said, we'll support to remove the misery of the British people to the fullest extent, because the rulers were tyrannical, but Gandhi never fought against the Britishers. He fought against the tyrannical ruler of Britain, not against the Britishers. That was the attitude, and that is the ethics. But what is happening today? And I remember, now we are in politics. We all the time, many times, have bitter exchanges of words in Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha, in legislative assemblies. We fight with each other, we quarrel with each other, we exchange heated words against each other. Sometimes derogatory remarks are also exchanged, and the chair, the speaker or the honorable chairman, they have to expunge our statement, our utterances. So many things happened. It is not natural that sometimes there is bitterness in political exchanges. And during the freedom struggle, we know Gandhi was there and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose were there. And on many points during the freedom struggle, there was serious differences of opinion between Gandhiji and Netaji. All of us know. There were serious differences of opinion between Gandhiji and Netaji. And you all know, it was Subhash Chandra Bose who first called Gandhiji as Rashtrapita, Bapu, the father of the nation. There was differences, but it was, Netaji was so respectful about Gandhiji, in spite of his differences with Gandhi's opinion, it was Netaji first leader of Indian nation who addressed Gandhiji as Rashtrapita. And since that day, we say Gandhiji is our Rashtrapita, father of the nation. That was the relation those days. You might be knowing, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was our prime minister for a pretty long time. And Ram Manohar Lohia, the great socialist leader, revolutionary leader, he was also in Lok Sabha. And Ram Manohar Lohia is a great critic of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, you know. He was day and night criticizing inside the house, outside the house, in his public utterances. He was a great critic of the policy of Jawaharlal Nehru. But do you know, when election was coming, Jawaharlal Nehru was very careful to see that how Ram Manohar Lohia will be re-elected to Lok Sabha. And therefore, he was trying to put in that constituency such a candidate who can be easily defeated by Ram Manohar Lohia. Because Nehruji knew that unless there is criticism, government cannot run in a right track. That was the behavior, attitude of the people. There's this. When A.B. Vajpayee was in the opposition, Narasimha Rao was the prime minister, I remember. And we all know, Vajpayee was a great critic of Narasimha Rao government. But Narasimha Rao nominated Vajpayee to represent India in the United Council as the leader of the Indian delegation. That was the relation between leaders. I remember I was in Lok Sabha at that time when Atalji was the prime minister. I don't exactly remember the year. And Laluji was also in Lok Sabha, Lalu Prasad Yadavji. And when Vajpayee, the prime minister, was replying on certain motion, he was a great speaker, Vajpayee ji. And spellbound kar dete the wo logon ko. So when Atalji was speaking, Laluji, as usual, was again and again reaching from his seat and interrupting the speeches of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I was in the house, I remember. So the treasury benches, they were getting very agitated. How Laluji dared to disturb Atal, a leader like Atalji, the prime minister. So I remember once Laluji stood up and said, कि अटल जी आप मत भूलो कि मैं बिहारी हूं बिहारी. मुझे याद है उस दिन. तो the ruling benches got more furious. How could say like that, challenging Atal ji? And the house was full of tension and tense atmosphere. And do you know what was the response of Atalji? Atalji gave a smile, stood up from his bench and said smilingly, Lalu ji, आप तो सिर्फ बिहारी हो, मैं तो अटल बिहारी हूं, न टलता हूं, न झुकता हूं. And the entire house burst into laughter. And the whole tense situation is doubt. और सबने हंसने लगे. कितना सुंदर रिप्लाई अटल जी का. Or after the session was urgent, all of us, we saw how Lalu ji and Atal ji talking like great friends and brothers. हंस हंस करके दोनों बात कर रहे हैं. So those were the days. This is called ethical politics. कि आप मत में विभेद हो सकता है, मतभेद हो सकता है नीतियों में, कार्यक्रम में, लेकिन व्यक्तिगत मतभेद, व्यक्तिगत कोई विद्वेष नहीं होना चाहिए. ये हम लोगों ने सीखा. I was just before coming to this, I was just reading the speech of Fali Nariman, Falius Nariman, the great jurist, and perhaps that speech was delivered in this forum, in this orientation came, and Nariman was invited here, and he was quoting one incident, and I'm not in witness to that. I was not that time in the parliament. Indira ji was the prime minister, and Pilu Modi was the leader in the opposition. Pilu Modi, the most towering leader of the opposition that time, and Indira ji, the most powerful prime minister. Nobody could dare to call Indira ji by his name. So after Indira ji gave a statement in the house, Pilu Modi just brought a sleeve, the parliament speech, and wrote some comments to Indira ji. Indira ji was sitting in his bench. And how he addressed Pilu Modi? Respected Prime Minister ji, no. Respected Indira ji, no. He just let, dear IG. Dear IG. And at the end of the note, he let, yours PM. Writing his note to the PM, dear IG, and niche likha, yours PM. And Indira ji read it. The bearer in the house, the marshal took it to Indira ji. Immediately Indira ji replied. It was told by Fali Nariman, perhaps he was the member that time in the house. And in the top, Indira ji wrote, Dear PM. The PM is writing a note to another member saying, Dear PM. And niche, yours IG. You see, that was the attitude of the leaders of that time. The Indira ji didn't mind. So, very interesting story. I know, it is my experience, when I was in Lok Sabha for the first time, Chandrasekhar ji was the member in Lok Sabha. And a very towering leader. He was Prime Minister for a very, very short time, Chandrasekhar ji. A very good orator. Was unparalleled oratory. In Hindi में उनका जो भाषण आपने कई लोगों ने सुना होगा चंद्रशेखर जी का. तो चंद्रशेखर जी जब खड़े होकर के बोलते थे लोकसभा में, it was pin drop silence. सरकार को गाली दें, लेकिन सरकारी सदस्य भी आवाज नहीं उठाते थे. Because it was out of respect for Chandrasekhar ji. He was one of the senior most leader of the country. And maybe for a very short time he was the prime minister of the country. बट जब चंद्रशेखर जी खड़ा होते थे सदन में, तो पूरा हाउस पिन ड्रॉप साइलेंस उनको सुनता था. क्रिटिसाइज करते थे गवर्नमेंट को, बड़ी तगड़ा क्रिटिसिज्म था उनका, लेकिन पिन ड्रॉप साइलेंस. अगर कोई कहां से आवाज आती तो रूलिंग पार्टी के लोग दबा देते थे. चंद्रशेखर जी बोल रहे हैं. सो दैट वाज द रेस्पेक्ट पीपल वर गिविंग टू सीनियर लीडर्स इन द हाउस. सो देयरफॉर दिस इज कॉल्ड एथिक्स, एथिकल पॉलिटिक्स. So gradually, what is the feeling is that gradually from political arena, gradually perhaps I will say, these ethical values are diminishing gradually, and this is the feeling of the common man. And we are all the time, because we are political parties, and most of us belong to different political parties, and naturally our eyes are always on our vote banks, what we call the vote bank politics. And sometimes ethics, our vote bank or our lust for our vote prevails upon our ethics, supersede our ethics. I remember my own experience. I would like to tell you. One day I got a telephone from somebody, and he was one of my important party worker who commands a sizable vote in a particular panchayat. So he telephoned me and complained, "Ki Acharya ji, this is not good." So what is not good? Why should we continue in the party, in our party? And that too ruling party. My party is a ruling party in Odisha, the Biju Janata Dal. So what happened? So the police has insulted me. Your police has insulted me. How? I was going in a bike and police interrupted me and imposing a fine on me. But what for? Because I have not used a mere helmet. मेरा हेलमेट नहीं है इसीलिए मुझे रोक दिया है. I am a ruling party member. I am a member from your party. So I say, भाई ये तो कानून है, मैं क्या करूं? No, you tell the police to let me go, number one, and number two, such police officers should be taken into task. तो मैंने तंग आ गया. तो मैं सोचा मैं करूं तो करूं क्या? अगर मैं उसका बात नहीं मानता हूं तो it tells upon my vote. मेरा वोट डैमेज कर देगा अगर मैं जब वोट लड़ूं, क्योंकि उस पंचायत में उसका काफी वोट है. अगर उसका बात मान करके मैं पुलिस को फोन करूं तो मेरा एथिक्स मुझे परमिशन नहीं देता है. तो which way I should go? I should go for my vote. I should think about my ethics in politics, in public life. So हम जो जनप्रतिनिधि होते हैं, कभी कभी ऐसा कई घटनाएं घटती हैं जो हमको दुविधा में डाल देता है. आप एथिक्स को, लॉजिक को देखेंगे, नीति नियम कानून को देखेंगे, आपको वोट को देखेंगे. तो मैं कभी मैं बोलता हूं कि हम तो सब जैसे हैं, बुद्धिजीवी हैं. जो वकालत करते हैं उसको आइनजीवी बोलते हैं, जो कलम चलाते हैं उनको बुद्धिजीवी बोलते हैं. तो हमको लोग तो वोटजीवी तो बोलते हैं. वोट ही सब भी है हमारे लिए. Sorry, I have to finish quickly because after this honorable deputy chairman will be addressing us in the concluding session. So I will shortcut. So this type of बहुत जीवन में आता है कि हमें बहुत दुविधा में ये सब डालता. But I know one leader. There are many leaders in the country who doesn't believe in board politics. They believe in ethics. They believe in principle. They believe in reality. So they do. We always what we think. We are always concerned about the next election. कि next election में कैसा होगा, कितना वोट बोलेगा, क्या पॉलिसी में लेने से मुझे वोट मिलेगा. और सरकारें भी आजकल कि for every decision of the governments, not all the governments or not all the ministers or chief ministers or prime ministers, but very when we see that before governments take a decision, their main consideration is by this decision how much vote we are going to influence. That is our consideration. तो होता है. I know one leader under whom I had the great opportunity working when I was a young boy. That is Biju Patnaik. You might have heard the name of Biju Patnaik, everybody. And Biju Patnaik was a great freedom fighter. And he used many years of his youth days in British jail. He was a pilot of international level. And he was also associated with the freedom movement of Indonesia. Therefore, Indonesia offered him the highest award of their country, Bhumiputra award. And after independence, he was in politics for more than 50 years. And if you count the time of before independent, his public life was more than 65 years. And do you know for how many time he was in power? A man of the stature of Biju Patnaik, he was immensely popular, particularly in Odisha. He was a mass leader in Odisha. Out of the 65 years of his political or public life, he was in power merely for 9 years. And इतना बड़ा नेता बिजू पटनायक चुनाव बार-बार हारते थे. He was most popular, and even today, we exchange his name for the sake of vote. I have no hesitation in saying he's such a popular after death also. And Biju Babu 65 साल का सार्वजनिक जीवन में और 55 साल का प्रत्यक्ष राजनीतिक जीवन में आजादी के बाद मात्र 9 साल सत्ता में रहे, अनेक बार चुनाव हारते गए. क्यों हारे? क्योंकि he never did the politics of vote. वो जब भी फैसला कोई लेते थे उनको सामने ये नहीं था कि मुझे कितना वोट मिलेगा. He was never worried about the next election. He was always worried about the next generations. That was the leader in this country. तो ऐसे कई कई नेता आज भी इस देश में हैं. तो मैं लास्ट में एक बात बोलूंगा कि जो हम लोगों का जो इमेज होता है, sometimes we think that when even particularly after the lunch hour when go to participate in a debate, almost the house we find empty. ज्यादा मेंबर नहीं आते हैं. तो सब टाइम हमको होता है कि भाई इतना रात भर मैंने पढ़ा, प्रिपेयर किया, नोट किया, गूगल से निकाला, मेरा भाषण कोई सुन रहा है नहीं है. No, we are mistaken. We are not addressing the empty benches. We are addressing the whole nation. We are addressing the people of this country. We are addressing the history of this country. We are addressing for the next generation. But whatever you speak in the house, it is all recorded. And it is for the posterity. We are addressing the posterity. तो हम जो कहते हैं और हम जो करते हैं, ये आज के लिए केवल नहीं है, ये हमें याद रखना चाहिए. सो देयरफॉर जो हमारा जो वक्तव्य होता है, बहुत सोच समझ करके हमें ये करना होता है. और एक एमपी का जो इमेज होता है, वी थिंक दैट इट इज ए इमेज ऑफ ए पर्सनल एमपी. नो, द इमेज ऑफ द एमपी इन एट लार्ज क्रिएट्स द इमेज ऑफ आवर पार्लियामेंट. अगर एमपी गलत काम करता है तो उसका तो इंपैक्ट पार्लियामेंट के ऊपर होता है ना. मैं 2-3 केवल एग्जांपल दे करके मेरा वक्तव्य में खत्म करूंगा, क्योंकि इसीलिए एथिक्स जो कमेटी होता है, हम लोगों की एथिक्स कमेटी है. What was the necessity of having an ethics committee? And what was the necessity of the ethics committee formulating certain rules and laws and bylaws for the members to be adhered to? Because कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है, for the misdeed of one or two of us, the whole image of the parliament is spoiled. अतीत में ऐसा हुआ है. मैं आपको 3 केसेस केवल बोलूंगा राज्यसभा के बारे में, किसी का नाम लेने का जरूरत नहीं है. तो एक केस तो यह हुआ था, जो सम मेंबर क्वेश्चन पूछने के लिए कुछ गड़बड़ी किया था, एंड इट वाज कॉल्ड द केस फॉर क्वेश्चन एपिसोड, and it was referred to the ethics committee by the honorable chairman. Ethics committee, after proper investigation and proof, found the honorable member guilty, and on the recommendation of the ethics committee, which the house approved, the particular honorable member was expelled from the house. But it told upon the entire image of parliament, entire image of. So ऐसी और भी हुए, not only for case, for we enjoy an MP-led. Of course, for Corona, the government has temporarily disbanded this MP-led. Therefore, there is a lot of murmuring among the MPs, I know. And we expect that it should be released by the Honorable Prime Minister as soon as possible. But in the utilization of an MP-led, we should be very, very careful. क्योंकि ये MP-led के गड़बड़ी के मामले में भी इसी राज्यसभा में 2 MPओं को राज्यसभा से अतीत में एक्सपेल कर दिया गया on the recommendation of the ethics committee. So not only that, there is also third case, because as you know, after getting elected within 90 days, we have to furnish all our information about our earnings, our source of earning, our income, our bank balance, our bank account, our business interest with the secretariat, and that find place in a book of record under the EFD Secretary General. And because of furnishing wrong information about bank liabilities, that particular member was also expelled from this house. I did not. So all these activities of 1 or 2 members, that tells upon the entire image of our parliament. Therefore, ethics is very much necessary when we act, we behave, we utterance any word or our public utterances as a member of parliament. I have a lot of things to say, but I would like to conclude. Only thing I will say, because there are booklets which has been circulated by the secretariat about members' do's and don'ts. Lot of conditions and advisory are there. We should try to adhere it, but sometimes it becomes as public figure, as public personality, it is sometimes becomes very difficult to abide by these rules. But we have to do that in spite of any problem, any difficulty that we face. Because there was a time a couple of years ago when you noticed that there has been devaluation in the ethical things of the people's representative, and not only amongst the people's representative, even in administration, even in trade, business and industry, there was noticed some sort of devaluation in ethical values. Therefore, after much consideration, a all-party meeting decided to have an ethics committee long before. And accordingly, the ethics committee has been formulated, has been constituted, and the ethics committee time and again have been formulating many ethical rules and regulations to be observed by the honorable members. I think that that we should try to follow as far as possible, and there are a lot of do's and don't for the members that has been prescribed, and I need not go detail into it because of the depth of time. Honorable Deputy Chairman, I have got a note that Honorable Deputy Chairman has already arrived. Now we'll have the opportunity of listening to the address of the Honorable Deputy Chairman. With these few words, I have a lot of things to discuss, but because of, as I said, depth of time, I am not able to discuss it now. Some other opportunities we may try to discuss it. With these few words, I conclude my speech, and I thank you everybody.
Sir, we are thankful to you.